friends, Heidi here from Marine Country Homestead. God is good all the time. And yes, I'm squinting at the camera again because it seems like every angle I need to get of me harvesting herbs is this angle. So sorry about that. However, I already started harvesting some catnip, and I wanted to show you, this is from a couple of smaller catnip plants I have in my west herb garden and in some pots on my deck. And I did start harvesting this bigger one, but I want to show you how I do that with this, especially with this bigger one. And that is, I try to harvest only around these outside edges, and that is so I can let some of the flowers bloom in the center and let it get nice and tall there. But I still want to harvest some because it will then branch out and keep making more. But I do like to have those pretty purple flowers coming in, because not only does it add beauty to the garden, but it also helps attract bees and other beneficial insects. So I just like to harvest it back like this. And the main thing I use catnip for is an analgesic and a anti-inflammatory. So I make a tincture out of it, and I usually combine it with feverfew. However, I'm going to try making a tincture of just the catnip and see how that works for us with headaches, because it does have a better taste than the feverfew, which is very bitter. Where the catnip is related to the mint, or it is a mint, and it just kind of has more of a kind of spicy flavor. And I find that with herbs, they're probably the strongest in medicinal properties later in the season, but their flavor is a little better when you get them while they're still kind of young. So I'm just going to get back here and get these ones. And the other reason I like to, go from the peripheral is to also help keep it down for my other things that are growing around it. Because I have calendula starting to come up here that's self-seeded from last year, and I don't want it to overshadow my calendula. So mostly I'm just leaving the stuff in the center and letting that go to flower. So I'll get the stuff on the other side. Alright, so that's a pretty good bunch of catnip I got going on right there. Alright, so let's go inside and I'll show you what else I have going on this and that. Alright, so here I am in my kitchen, and I want to show you a few other things going on today. So I'm also dehydrating some pansy flowers and dandelion flowers. I only have a few dandelion flowers picked today, and those I'll probably put directly in our tea for tonight. But I do also have a couple of trays of dandelion leaves, some real nice good sized leaves out there, on my Nesco dehydrator, which you can find below. And I've talked about it before, and I've never used any other kind of dehydrator. I just got that long before I'd even heard of any other kind. And over 15 years of use, and the thing's still going strong. I love it. I also have some vegetables fermenting, and to this batch I have added, it's mostly carrots and onions, but I also added some garlic greens and dandelion leaves, and along with some red pepper flakes, of course. So you can see my how I ferment my vegetables by checking my video right up here, and also in that video you can find a link to how I make my fermentation starter from what I have on hand. So another thing I have going on today is I have another jar of my homemade grape juice from our own grapes out, and I'm going to be starting a batch of homemade grape soda, all natural, today using my fermentation starter. So I'm going to show you how I do that in another video, so be watching for that to come out soon. And then of course I have to make more of our jet fueled latte, so that's back here, all my blend here, and you can find the video on how I do that right up here. Okay, so about the catnip, we mostly, as I said, use it for an analgesic and anti-inflammatory. I also we eat it fresh this time of year when we need it for pain, but I like to dehydrate a bunch up to use for making homemade tinctures. And also I have now started adding it to the homemade dog pain reliever and anti-inflammatory. Now I've already made that video, but it will go up later than this, so be watching for that one. That's predominantly what we use the catnip for, is an analgesic and anti-inflammatory, and it works really good. Now, the other things you can use that catnip is good for is it is a digestive aid. It is also a sleep aid. It's very calming and relaxing. Okay, now that both dogs are outside, maybe I won't get her interrupted again until they walk back in. Or I get a phone call, which I am expecting. Anyway, so it also, what else was I going to say? So a stress reliever, digestive aid, sleep aid. There's something else that was right on the top of my head and I forgot. But anyway, look up catnip and look up the benefits and all the good things it's good for. You can also make a tea out of it, which I've never done for some reason. I've always just used it as a tincture or used it fresh. But anyway, great stuff, and I recommend trying to grow it. It should grow if you can grow mints easily like most people can, then catnip should grow quite well for you. So I'll be taking this out to my greenhouse where I have my dehydrator plugged into solar power. And while I'm out there, I'll show you a few garden updates. Not too much. I'm kind of reserving some of that for later. But I'll show you a little bit about what's going on out there. And maybe a couple other things. So there's my dehydrator sitting on the back shelf in the greenhouse. I used to set it on the south facing shelf, but I now have that shelf covered with things, growing things, starts and whatnot. So this is where I like to plug it in now, and right back here this outlet is all solar power. So we have a couple other things plugged into it, which includes the fan that I use to keep the air flowing in here, which I do need to turn on here. And here's how my dwarf peach tree is looking right now. It's very healthy. And I'm thinking by not allowing the tomatoes to grow on this one side to give it more air, and it might do better. And you can see here, the peaches are coming along quite nicely. There, and here. There's more here and there. Look at this one here. So these peaches don't get very big. It is a dwarf tree with little peaches, but hopefully they'll have better flavor than they've had in the last couple of years. They've just kind of had a blah flavor, but they're good for using and making homemade popsicles and things like that. So they still get used up. So we'll see how that goes. Got a little bit of lettuce growing down here. The lettuce is finally, so late in the year. Here it is May, and the lettuce has finally started taking off. I actually harvested a bunch off of these last night for dinner, and then also again some more to give to the chickens. And that's just a couple of my lettuces. Over here I've got tomatoes growing. These are all the ones I started from seed, from slices of my tomatoes from last year. And please keep in mind, people, everything is very, very far behind. Normally by now this lettuce would have looked like this in late February or even early March. But it's taken this long for my lettuce to take off. Well, since it's a beautiful day, of course I'm running my solar oven. And as I've said in other videos, I've been using the solar oven in our very cloudy, wet area for, I think this is year 6. This particular one is brand new. But today what I've got going on is we barbecued up some steaks last night. We always have extra because we never eat that much steak. And I usually try to do different things with the leftovers. Typically the thing that I like to do the most is to make fajitas. Leftover steak is great for making fajitas or for doing some kind of beef veggie stir fry. But today I'm trying it in a soup by taking the whole steaks. Let me lift this off here and show you what I got going on. And just throwing them in there, bones and all, so that it can make a good broth. I've got some herbs and carrots and garlic and some dehydrated jalapenos, and mostly a lot of my homegrown mixed veggie greens that I dehydrate throughout the year, or throughout the spring and summer. And so then after this cooks really good, I'm gonna, and all the meat is just falling off the bone, then I'll take it and chop it up and put it back in the soup. So we'll see how that turns out. I thought it'd just be a good thing to try, and then get a little bit more, that bone, kind of a bone broth thing going on there. So now I'm going to take you out front. All right, so another thing I'm going to harvest today is my sage. I harvested a bunch the other day, so this is a pretty good sized plant. And I try to, I harvested a bunch way back just 2 days ago, but still this thing's really big, and so I need to get this harvested back because I really only wanted about this big. And this is one of my feverfews here, and then I have rosemary growing back here, and another one struggling because it's not getting quite enough light, and then another one right over there. So I'm going to be harvesting a bunch of this back and dehydrating it. I get lots and lots of sage, so I ended up removing one of my sage plants out of the main garden, and we'll be taking some more out. There's one more out there I think I'm going to go ahead and take out because I really don't need it, and out there, so I can just use the space. So what I do is I just pull the tops off. Scissors work really good, but since I'm holding the camera now, I didn't bring the tripod out with me. I'm just going to pull these back. Then I think I'm going to get down there and just cut that way back. So I'm just going to pull the tender parts off. And I also wanted to show you this strainer. I found this last year and was really thrilled. I didn't know they actually made a mesh type colander. This particular colander is perfect for small herbs and for when you're rinsing out your rice before you cook your white rice, or when you're soaking your wheat berries and then you go to rinse them out. This mesh colander works great. So I found this online. I will link to it below, and I will get back to harvesting my sage. Well, and here's some of my blueberries. They're just now starting to lose their blossoms, and the berries are starting to form, which is really late, like everything else in the year for us, because normally I'd be starting to harvest blueberries by now. But no worries, I know I should still be able to get another 3 gallons of blueberries just off these 6 plants that are in pots. And they've been growing up here for, this is year 5 or 6 maybe. And my little apple tree is starting, that's on the deck, is starting to get apples. My grapevines are finally leafing out, and just like everything else, it's very, very late in the year to do this. However, it's still gonna fill in and make a beautiful green wall for me like it always does. So more blueberries. And one more thing I wanted to show you out here is, this is the main garden. And this side here, this little section, is mostly for herbs. But these plants here are all marshmallow. So all my marshmallow I have grown back here, and I have about another 5 plants out front because I love marshmallow. And I'll show you this again later in the year, and you can see how beautiful it is when it flowers. Another thing I wanted to show you, you might have seen it in my golden oregano video, when you can see the golden oregano just from, you know, when I harvested it the last time, it was already growing up and starting to turn that bright green again. And this here is one of my 2 most healthy goji berry plants that I have. And it looks like I may only have 3, possibly 4 that survived. But this one is looking really good. So hopefully we'll get flowers and maybe berries this year. Alright, as you can see, I'm back in my kitchen because I got to get back to my other chores and video making. And I got my sage all dehydrating. I ended up with 3 really full trays of sage, along with the other herbs I showed you, the catnip and the pansies and the dandelion flowers and leaves. And I wanted to show you one more thing before I close up this video, and that is I recently got back into making water kefir, and that's what you see here. And I am doing much better this time around than I did with the original, and I don't know if it's the grains I got. I bought them from a different place this time, but the first batch of grains I got were never really bubbly. They never really were very active, but I've just, right off the bat, these were great. So I'm going to go ahead, and those of you who already know about water kefir grains and how to use them, and if you're looking for some, I'm going to link to a lady. She actually sells her stuff through Amazon, so I'm going to give you the link below. That's where I got these, and highly recommend them. But as far as going into more detail, I'm reserving for future videos. But I'll show you this. This is made from 2015 blueberries I pulled out of the freezer yesterday, or a couple days ago, and then used my water kefir to make, and it's just a really good healthy drink. So, and it is a fermented thing, so it's full of probiotics and all that great stuff for your gut. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new, maybe. I love passing out information. I know there's a lot of other people out there that have way more information than I do, but anything I can do to add to what they have, or you know, just help present it maybe in a different way that will help bless people, and you know, I really enjoy that, and that's why I'm here. So all of your comments and interaction are so much appreciated. So please comment, and if you think somebody could benefit from this video, then go ahead and share it. That really helps us a lot when you do that. So anyway, thanks for being a part. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.